Welcome and thank you for joining us here today at Wessex Vale Crematorium. And thank you and welcome also to those of you who are joining us by the wonders of the internet this morning. Welcome all. We are here today to remember the most wonderful man, Ernie Kendrick, or Ernie to you all. And I would now like to invite Stephen to join me with some wonderful memories of Grandad.
Well, where do I start? Grandad. Pain. Likes the attention. Obviously, for instance, drove to Winchester for work. Next minute, I phoned from Grandad. I said, what's the matter? He said, don't feel too good. Stomach's all funny. He said, I need to go to doctors or hospital. So I leave Winchester, go back to Grandad's house, get there, do a cup of tea, now I'm fine. Stand up, kind of stood up, let it go, foot wind, and goes, foot bad now. Drove all the way back from Winchester just to get past wind. It's just things like that. I mean, take him out for lunch, Saturdays, 10 days, Carberries, breakfast. He loves it. Gravy he hates, because he spills it all down. Tomato sauce, that's it. We've had some funny times last couple of months. Christmas Day, I thought if you opened his own office license, no alcohol, everything's covered. Chocolate bars, Claire's, everywhere. Hides them, denies it all. They're not mine. You know they are. Yeah, it's a nice man. Spent some quality times with him. Pain. But my best mate. Mine. All yours, Chris. Sit down.
Stephen, that was wonderful. Well done. I knew you could do it. Well done. Ernest Kendrick, always known as Ernie, was a hard-working family man. A man who strived to provide for his family. A man who hated to let anyone down, be it family or friends. If he said he would do something, be there for someone, then there would have to be a very good reason as to why he failed or was not there. Ernie always tried so hard to please. He loved to be in the company of others, and he always loved a steady routine. Born on the 5th of December 1940 to Ernest and Lillian Kendrick at 102 Clarendon Road in Hinckley, Leicestershire, being the first of 4 sons, Ernest, Michael, Paul and Peter. He was given his father's name, but he rarely used it unless for official documents, and he was always known as Ernie. Being born during the war, his father was away most of the time in the Royal Navy, so only got to see him during leave periods. His main male influence during this time was his granddad, William. Ernie started school at 4.5 years of age. He went to St Mary's C of E School in Station Road, a short 15-minute walk for a 4-year-old boy. As it was during the wartime, he used to carry his little red gas mask with him. His pocket money went up from a whole threepence to sixpence during this time, and he recalled that during one particular winter, the snow was around 3 feet deep and drifted up to 6 feet in places. This meant that his road became the local bobsleigh run, ice rink for hockey, and a place to build an igloo. His summer times were spent in the surrounding fields and woods, climbing trees and making dens with his friends. And it wasn't until he reached the age of 10 that he experienced his first real holiday away. This was to Rhyl in North Wales. Future holidays were spent in Skegness with his mum, dad and brothers, and it was during these holidays that Ernie learned how to play bowls with his dad and his brothers. He stayed at St Mary's School until completion of his 11 plus exams, and he then moved on to Hinckley Grammar School. This was about 3 miles away from home, so his walk now increased to about half an hour. He enjoyed science, French and technical drawing, Ernie had designs on being a draftsman when he left school, although his exam results prevented him from doing this career. He disliked algebra and he disliked geography. He was always good at sports, playing cricket, rugby and doing cross country. He represented his school in all of these sports for 3 years. It was during this period that he met his future wife while out on a paper round, Margaret Rogerson. Margaret worked for a different paper shop and their rounds crossed as they both ended up delivering papers on the same street, and their love blossomed. Ernie left school in 1957, aged 16 and a half. The half was always important to Ernie. He started work at Sketchley's, a hosiery company making stockings and tights. Ernie was in the new colour dye department, working for a weekly wage of £4. He was finally rich, even though he had to give one of those pounds each week to his mum for rent. Sketchley's had a works football team, and Ernie became one of their regular players. His relationship continued to bloom with Margaret, and they became engaged in 1959. Ernie married Margaret on the 20th of October 1962 at St Mary's Church just above the school, and they went on to honeymoon together in Paris. They bought a house on the other side of town in Burley Road. Here in 1963, they had the first of their 4 children, Christopher, who is always known as Chris unless it's for official reasons or if he was ever in trouble. 1 year later, Sue arrived. Not long after Sue, the family moved closer to town and bought a home in Browning Drive. On a Saturday morning, it became a family ritual to walk to Clarendon Road to see Ernie's mum and dad. Saturday afternoons were generally spent at home in the garden, and in the evening it would be a trip down to the local Sweet Pea social club. Ernie continued to play football for Sketchley on a Sunday, and it was during the winter of the 66-67 season that Ernie broke his leg badly. He was confined at home with his leg in plaster from hip to toe. Now what to do? Well, 9 months later, Joanne turned up. Again, Ernie was always one to please. With his playing days all but over, Ernie started to play bowls with his dad and his brothers. He eventually managed a successful Saturday team called Fortuna FC and played bowls for the Sweet Pea Club. It was whilst living at Browning Drive Ernie received one of his biggest tellings off from his wife. There were several more of these tellings off over the years. But this one, well, the eaves of the house needed painting. Always one to please, Ernie got the ladders out and proceeded to paint the eaves. This was all well and good, doing the DIY, and of course, pleasing your wife, but possibly not doing it in your best suit. Another time was after Ernie had taken Chris to the football, and they came home with a pet mouse. Margaret hated mice, and the mouse soon became a class pet at Chris's school, St Mary's. Things were not always as bad though, as in January 1970, Diane arrived. She nearly ended up in the bin though, as Chris wanted a brother to even up the numbers. And it was around this time that the family got a dog called Snowy, a white Samoyed. He would often get lost in the snow. On one occasion, Snowy was left at home for a short while everybody went to the shops. When they returned, the dog had ripped the sofa to bits. And of course, this was Ernie's fault. Not long after Diane was born, the family moved 800 yards down the road to Westray Drive, next to the local park. The family weekly routine trundled on. Ernie at work, the children at school, Margaret at home looking after Diane and doing the odd work from home. Saturdays was still a walk to mum and dad's across town, and every other Saturday Ernie would take Chris to watch Leicester City home matches. Most Saturday nights and Sunday afternoons were spent at the Sweet Pea Club. Ernie was becoming very good at bowls with his dad and brothers. His crowning glory was when he was selected to play for Leicestershire County against Essex at Colchester. Ernie and brother Peter both coming away with trophies. Family holidays were spent in a caravan at Hunstanton, where everyone could relax and have a good time, although the journey up and back was a bit of a nightmare. In the summer of 1974, it was time for yet another move. This time not just down the road, well, it was sorts, but 150 miles away south to Badder Road in Poole, Dorset. A house that backed onto the playing fields and the junior and middle schools 200 yards away. Ernie worked at Hamworthy Engineering in the production stores until his retirement, approximately 30 years later. Excuse me. Again, always one for a routine, a new family ritual was born. Saturday became a leisurely 3-mile stroll into town around Poole Quay. The trip even continued years later when the grandchildren arrived. On the quay, Ernie would treat the family to cockles and occasionally chips. It was then on to do the weekly shopping, followed by a bus trip back home. Ernie passed his driving test, and his first car, a black Morris Minor Traveller, was his new pride and joy. Holidays were taken up in Hinckley, Ernie driving, Margaret sat next to him, the 3 girls on the back seat, and Chris in the boot with the luggage. Not a great deal of room for a growing family, but really fun times. Some Saturdays, especially during the summer, Ernie would take the family down to Sandbanks to collect cockles. It was a race to see who could fill their buckets the fastest. It was then back home to cook them up in an old pan and stink the house out. Chris was playing Sunday league football with Ernie as assistant manager, and he also started the Poole Sea Cadets. Ernie helped out as a civilian instructor, later becoming a petty officer working in administration. And it wasn't until around 1977 that Chris finally managed to beat Ernie in a 100-yard sprint. He continued to stay fit, and Ernie played cricket for Hamworthy Engineering. He started his own Saturday evening five-a-side team, consisting mainly of players from the Sea Cadets. They were quite successful, finishing runners-up on a number of occasions. Sue started playing volleyball for Poole Thumpers and became very good, but unfortunately her promising career was cut short due to a bad knee injury. Chris was the first to fly the nest when he joined the Royal Navy in 1980, followed by the girls in subsequent years, Diane being the last to go. Life had changed for Ernie, and not for the better. His marriage to Margaret became fractious, and they eventually divorced in 1990. True to form, Ernie has still had and maintained his routine, working his weekly trip to the quay on a Saturday for his cockles and to meet up with his girls. He also started playing bowls again, this time for Poole Park. Ernie played all year round, summers outdoors and winter inside. Here he made some great friends, Joel and Alec being just 2 of them. Years passed and Ernie became president of the club, and he really began to enjoy his life again. It was almost his new job with his new little family of bowlers until illness took him over. Slowly his health deteriorated and eventually ended his bowling career, his lifeline. Over time, Ernie went from a very fit man to a frail and very slow old man. A bright light still remained, and Ernie, being one for routine, enjoyed a new routine created by his best mate and grandson. Stephen would come round on a regular basis, and on a Sunday, Stephen would only have to say one word: Carvery. On hearing this word, Ernie would be up, dressed, and out faster than a gazelle. He would always be in the front of the queue, no slow old man now. Ernie enjoyed and looked forward to his carvery, days right up to a week before his passing. He will always be remembered as a hard-working provider, always willing to help with an offer on hand, the voice of wisdom and reason, a man who enjoyed the company of others and his family, a man who thrived on routine. Ernie leaves behind 2 brothers, Paul and Peter, 4 children, Chris, Sue, Joe and Di, 11 grandchildren and 18 great-grandchildren. He was always loved, he will always be remembered and never forgotten. We're now going to pause for a moment of reflection, and please use this as an opportunity to express any words that you would like to say to Ernie in the silence of your own hearts and your own minds. golden heart simply stopped beating when this wonderful man fell asleep for the last time on the 5th of April, aged 79 years, and knowing that he had been loved for his entire life. Ladies and gentlemen, if you feel able, could I please now ask you to stand for the words of the committal, and it is during these words that the vial will close. Please stand. As we prepare ourselves to say farewell to Ernie, remember his spirit, remember his personality, remember his smile, because these will remain forever alive in your hearts and in your minds. To live in the heart of another person is not to die. Love lives forever. Ernie, may the light of love shine upon you and those for whom you care. May you find everlasting peace, rest and freedom from anything that has ever caused you any harm or concern. Accept and approve of our actions today. Recognise the faithful loyalty of everybody here today for you, whilst we hold you tenderly and bring peaceful conclusion to your earthly life. May you know the thoughts of our hearts. May you know the depth of our appreciation of you. And may the light from our love shine forever upon your name. We honour and respect the way you lived your life. We honour and respect your unique qualities and the genuine love and support you gave to your family and your friends. In heartbreaking grief, but in gratitude for your amazing life and for the privilege and pleasure of sharing it with you, we commit your body today with the loving respect and dignity it truly deserves. Here I farewell Ernie, and be assured and comforted by the love that embraces and cherishes you in this moment, now and forever. Goodbyes are only for those who love with their eyes. For those who love with their heart and soul, there is no separation. Would you please join with me now in saying the words of the Lord's Prayer? Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Please be seated. We've now said a formal farewell to Ernie, and in a few moments you will start to leave this chapel and begin the business of picking up the pieces and carrying on with your lives. But you won't have left Ernie behind, because he will remain in your hearts and in your minds for the rest of your lives. Be sure to keep him there. Talk about him often. Repeat the anecdotes from his life and treasure all your memories of him, because this really is his most precious legacy, and he leaves this to you all. If anybody would like to make a donation in memory of Ernie, could I ask you to do so online to the Poole branch of Macmillan Cancer Support in Ernie's name? And on behalf of myself and the family, could I thank each and every one of you for being here today in the most heartbreaking of circumstances. And I'm going to close this service now with a beautiful poem. But I've got one more thing to ask of you. As you leave this chapel, take Ernie with you. Take him in your hearts, take him in your minds, because I know he will remain there forever. You can shed tears that he is gone, or you can smile because he has lived. You can close your eyes and pray that he will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that he has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see him, or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live for yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember him and only that he is gone, or you can cherish his memory and let it live on. You can cry, close your mind, be empty and turn your back, or you could do what he would want. Smile, open your eyes, love, and go on.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses are falling. Oh, it's